The set is ready, and after a week of rehearsals, we are almost ready for showtime.
The whole generation of Singaporeans grew up watching him, either on Channel 5 in Under One Roof or on Channel 8 in Comedy Night.
拜托你要点想象力。对，不要害我了。
I grew up watching 一鸣大哥. He really brought joy, laughter to everyone.
明知山有虎，偏向虎山行。
你虽然看到很多艺人中文也会讲，英文也会讲，但是呢，没有说留下很深刻的印象。就是两边的人特别喜欢他的，我觉得真的只有林一鸣 Moses Lim。
You chose this!
He's a Singapore icon. There's just no two ways about it.
你做老板哟。Knock. Now we are all together under one roof. 你就没有 creative， 这种就有 creative。
In the beginning, I always think of him like a comedy actor in the Chinese entertainment scene.
等到真正开会，每个人就金口不会开了，莫名其妙，去做工了。
And then suddenly Under One Roof took the whole stage by storm. That image of him in Under One Roof became so overwhelming. Today, the first thing I remember would be Under One Roof, that Tan Ah Teck character.
Moses Lim is Tan Ah Teck. Coaching man is Dolly.
Moses Lim is Tan Ah Teck is the very first line, and it's the only line that actually mattered at that time because everybody knew who Moses Lim was. Even when they see me in the street, they will say, "You're Tan Ah Teck's son."
Singapore's funniest family.
At that time, if you thought of Channel 5, people always think of all the Hollywood programs, the American shows. But Under One Roof was huge because it was the very first local sitcom.
34% of the homes in Singapore watch The Tans in Under One Roof.
The highest rating show on Channel 5.
The huge success of Under One Roof really paved the way for Channel 5 to also be encouraged and emboldened to do a lot more local English productions.
Yes, in Singapore and JB.
Besides record ratings in Singapore, Under One Roof did very well regionally and internationally.
The winner of the best comedy programs or series is Under One Roof!
Till today, Under One Roof is still the most syndicated English program from Singapore because it has been shown in Canada, in Australia, Taiwan, Malaysia, and in 2020 it has been picked up by Netflix.
What's wrong?
I didn't sleep well. I think the mattress is worn out.
Well, considering that you and Mom must weigh.
This is good coffee.
You know, Dad, there's something different about you this morning, but I just can't put my finger on it.
Babe, how come you have Santa partying today?
The chemistry of the family was just amazing because it seemed to click so quickly.
The Feng Shui Man!
More like con man.
Because he was the head of the family, he set the tone for the entire sitcom. That's how I feel. And we all responded very, very well to his lead. You know, he observed, he responded to your lines, he responded to your facial expressions, and his comedic timing is, to me, flawless.
Stop! Don't move!
What? Hi, Mom, Dad.
I remember the first review of Under One Roof in Sunday Times. It was written by Sharon George. The article was called Under One Roof, What Went Right. He summed it up by saying, 2 words, Moses Lim. So we were looking for an actor to play Tan Ah Teck, somebody who can anchor both the heart and the humour of the show. Then we saw Moses on Comedy Night on Channel 8.
像我这种魁梧的身材，要么我是挤不进地铁，要么硬挤进去又把大家挤出来，何必给人讨
We
厌？
had no idea whether if he could do a show in English, but we invited him over to do a script reading with us. I remember vividly the first time Moses came into the room to meet us, all of us were anxiously trying to wait for him to open his mouth to speak English.
Oh. So this John Lennon had purple hair too, huh?
And his English was good.
When I was asked to do something in English, it was very challenging. But then second thought, why not? This is an opportunity for me to learn English at the same time to showcase that we, Chinese educated, are able to do English show. So I was the first one to cross over.
When he came over, what I do get a sense of is that he felt it was very important. It was a breakthrough. This is a big moment for him, for audiences, for the Chinese community, for the Chinese actors. Let's go. Let's make it work, you know?
That's not a squirrel. That's a bird which looks like a flying monkey.
And that paved the way for a lot more crossovers.
Last time I was from 246 gang.
You had people like Mark Lee, Cynthia Cole,
I'll be a new form teacher.
If you want me to consider your request,
Edmund Chen.
I have to.
Quite a number of actors when I started to say, oh, I also want to try something there.
From the first episode, when we launched the show, people tune in because they want to watch Moses Lim acting in English.
Is there one for $50? I don't mind a little bad luck now and then.
Honestly, I don't remember Moses struggling in terms of the language too much.
Immediately, Mina and Ringo rush back to the forest to look for giant durian.
I mean, he's an English speaker as well. But what really struck me as funny, my name is Denise on the show. Moses couldn't say it. He always called me Dennis.
Right, Dennis? Dennis? Dennis!
I love that.
Moses worked very hard on his diction.
Wang He ran away and joined the troop. The crowd loved his ribbon swirling. But Wang He's father was frustrated by this. He wanted to understand his son. So he started juggling rice.
Because I think when he came onto the show Under One Roof, he knew he was surrounded by fellow actors who were very precise in their diction. Moses knew that he had to level up. In between takes, you could always catch Moses sitting at the side, running lines to himself over and over again.
Action! This is my house, why can't I talk loud? You heard that? This is my house!
Among all the cast, he's probably got the longest lines to remember. So that was probably his biggest challenge.
She kept smashing her nose in between symbols.
He actually practiced his lines with us. Certain words, how do you pronounce? He will consult us. He actually take notes, writing it in Chinese.
In 1996, when there was the very first edition of Asian Television Awards, Moses took home the award for Best Performance by an Actor in a Comedy Series.
And the winner of the Best Actor in a Leading Comedy Role is...
Moses Lim, Under One Roof.
That's the first Best Actor award in a comedy series from the whole history of Asian Television Awards.
I'm going to tell you a story. Sit!
I think it's really ironic that his catchphrase was, "Let me tell you a story long before your time." But he never told us before our time what his story was. I never knew.
When he was 8 years old, he was actually trained by a Catholic priest from Harbin who trained him in crosstalk, 相声. And that training gave him the skill set of storytelling and speaking in front of audience without any fear. So that probably opened the door for him to be interested in the entertainment industry.
Moses used to tell me that he loved taking part in oratorical contests when he was in school, and he had a love for performing on stage. He would always volunteer. When Teachers' Day comes around, he would say, okay, I'll do a performance for the teachers.
When he was still a student, 20 years old, his classmate wanted to take part in this competition, and his friend asked him, can you come along with me? But while he was there, his friend said, since you are here, why don't you just sign up for it too, you know? So he took part in this MC competition, which was organized by RTS back then, and he ended up being the first runner-up. What we found out was the winner and the rest of the finalists, they are all part-timers in the radio station. He was the only one that's non-radio. So that gave him the opportunity to start in radio. He was a part of the radio storytelling and he was doing sound effects.
然后呢，还有趣的就是打电话，打电话我们就用2个空筒，那就做电话的。喂，你好啊，你好啊，这像不像电话的声音啊？这样哦。我当年刚开始进入电台也好啊，偶尔上电视也好，都没有得到我家里面我父亲的赞许。那我父亲是一个很传统的商人，那他总觉得说我的长子也干嘛那么多。 不去做一个抛头露面的一个戏子。
For Dad to voice out his interests and intention to want to perform and entertain, he faced a lot of objections from my grandfather. When my grandfather passed away in the mid-70s, the objections, restrictions were just naturally gone. Then in 1977, met my mom, got married, and I think my mom was the instrumental supporting factor that pushed him to pursue his passion.
太婆，这是我的屁股啦
！1979年呢，我参加训练班之后，我就有机会接触到综艺节目。那么艺名呢，又好像是在另外一些综艺节目。这样有一次呢，不懂什么节目，然后我们就碰面。首先我看到他的样子，我觉得蛮可爱的，这么胖的一个人，很可爱的一个人。然后呢，我那个时候又很瘦嘛，所以我们又受耳王沙野峰当年的影响，就好像搞笑的人一定要有一个胖一个瘦的。所以我很自然的就问他，你要不要来跟我们一起做？因为我觉得我们2个人如果在一起的话，会有很多火花。他也很乐意，大家就一拍即合就做了。
想不到，他说了我这一生中最难忘的一句话。他说了什么？结婚那一天早一点来。
我们很有默契，因此呢，在台上我们也不用做什么准备拿麦克风拿起来，大家就是立刻当场就搞笑的。
广阔一点。
也就是说，现在我们可以拖得很洒脱，拖得很彻底啊！
你真的拖，真的没人看了，我告诉你。
They are very different in terms of their personalities. But on stage, they complement each other. They became so good at bringing out the best from each other.
然后呢，我跟艺名呢就开始做脱口秀。我们那个时候还不是搞笑行动，那个时候我们还只是做缤纷星期一的一个节目。我们讲的是跟生活很有直接关系的。我们又是属于比较娱乐性很高的那一种。
这5年来，我替你还的巴士车钱全部还给我。你好不要脸啊你！ 我们2个很努力，我们几乎每天我们都不碰面都会通电话。今天你发生什么事，我发生什么事，这个东西怎么样可以凑在一块来做？每个星期最少见2、3次面。
做了一阵子之后呢，我就大胆的跟我们的那个领导，那个时候是文树生，就跟他建议了说，不然你看看我们能不能够做一个新的一个综艺节目。那我就想，就叫搞笑行动。 后来我们这样子做了10年。
搞笑行动，各位朋友，欢迎大家收看我们的搞笑行动。
爷爷是有问必答，
真的吗？我什么问题都可以问吗？
当然。
爷爷，我是从哪里来的？
你可以不要问这个吗？那么多问题，你偏偏问这个，问别的嘛你。
老爸。 明天我和大姐要去巴沙，我会把你最常吃的早餐拿去罗马，对不对
？We worked together in comedy night for a year and a half. Moses was really such a big-hearted and kind mentor. He let you into his space almost immediately. I think he knew that he had to make someone comfortable before that person could perform.
你好，我是陈宝珠，你是？ Oh, I see 孙耀威啊！
Even when you messed up, he just let it roll. He just let you be goofy and funny. So that gave you a momentum and confidence.
可是你又说你又念书，
我说我念书哈。就是
Then I learned that it's okay to make mistakes. It's sometimes even better to be able to laugh at yourself and your mistakes.
自嘲这一招呢，其实是第一最有效果，第二呢又不会伤害到任何一个人，所以你自嘲啊，永远都是会获得很多同情分。他常常用自己的身材来开玩笑，我们也嘲笑他，没事，就是说。
哇，我看到你哦，真的是哦，那种人家满月哈吃那种包有没有？就是抱着腰啊。请问一下，哎，对不起对不起啊，请问一下那个腰你抱得到吗？哈？
我是想我喜欢呢，
是没事没事，
妒忌呀，
没什么没什么没什么。
你可以问每一个人，他会就觉得胖的人就是这样子的。为什么你胖？不运动嘛，你吃嘛。哇，你看一鸣大哥，他可以是一个 food critic 哎，人有没有人讲他是胖的，就是一直吃的？没有。
That turned his size into his selling point, so it was never a disadvantage to him.
He's not only plus size. 一鸣大哥 is our role model.
Moses is kind of an enigma. If you look at it, people that look like him, people of his size, they don't become icons, they don't become legends. But this guy had such an overpowering personality that it sort of superseded all those disadvantages. You imagine if you were him. You don't speak English, you're oversized. Are you gonna go and become a TV star on Channel 5? I don't think so.
But at the height of Moses' fame, there was a period of time when Channel 8 stopped using him.
那个时候呢，就是那个蔡和平嘛，他在香港开了一个 channel， 然后呢，他就说他就看到啊，一鸣的造型很可爱，啊，他就想到把肥肥、沈殿霞两个人放在一起，那么所以呢，他就从我们这边把他抽走了。
I remember at that time, I heard of Moses, Jack Neal, and they were both very, very popular and very good. I've seen their show on television, so I requested to meet Moses because I intended to start a satellite TV channel, CETV, and I wanted him to be one of my main hosts of the channel. When I spoke to him, he immediately accepted my offer to go to Hong Kong.
There were some challenges trying to arrange schedules for Under One Roof. There were times when Moses was away, and we had to work around it.
What do you know, school?
Back then, the popular artists are all from Hong Kong or China or Taiwan, but you don't hear from Singapore. I'm very sure he was definitely excited and proud to fly the Singapore flag. Most importantly, it's a huge recognition for all the hard work he put in for the past 20 years.
其实我们一直都有关注 Moses 他在香港的一个发展，我们看到他跟好像沈殿霞一起合作，大家都非常的开心，因为有一个新加坡艺人在香港。
When he left to join CETV, there was a period of time when Channel 8 stopped using him. The reason is because CETV was actually on StarHub TV, which was actually competing with Mediacorp for eyeballs, right?
There were a few shows there where he co-hosts with Fei Fei, do some skits together, a cooking segment together. It's all very fun, family-oriented content.
It's 1 month daily recording to record enough content, and then he fly back home for Under One Roof filming. After Under One Roof, he flies back to Hong Kong again. So it's a to and fro.
It was tough on Moses to be in Hong Kong.
He definitely worked very hard to juggle both sides and away from family. A lot of people would think that he's an absent dad, but he's not. He's actually a very present dad. When we have to bring food to school, he will actually make it a point to pack sandwiches for us. Egg sandwich with butter and lots of ketchup. That's signature. That's how we all grew up eating egg sandwich with ketchup. We are still eating egg sandwich with ketchup. And I'm passing this on to my girls.
Moses' departure from CETV was after a couple of years with us. Basically, I could not afford a bigger budget to hold him to stay on anyway.
When he was actually stepping out of CETV, then naturally we thought that was a good time for him to consider making a comeback to do shows for us. I reached out to speak with him for his comeback. Comedy Night was celebrating 10 years. He did 1 or 2 years together with Jack Neo again. But I told him that beyond that, we wanted him to now start to do a lot of other stuff. He had 1 or 2 other sitcoms. He had Living with Lydia.
He was going to chop, remember?
And then on the Chinese side, he started to do a lot more drama, like The Champion, Holland V, a couple of others. When he made his comeback, he still brought that kind of enthusiasm to say, I want to give my best to whatever that I do, whatever that you let me do. He became, again, very popular.
Lin Yiming.
这是我的上帝给我最好的礼物，我要谢谢所有台前幕后跟我合作的朋友。
As a young producer and director of Under One Roof, working with Moses, what I remember most was how generous he was in the spirit of wanting to cooperate and the spirit of wanting to give.
我这一生当中，我第一个碰到的一个伙伴，就是舞台的搭档，就是艺名。我一直觉得我们就是一个 pair。他有在的话，好像大家就有一个互相照应在创作笑话内容上能够互相的照亮彼此这样子。
I told myself one day when I have the abilities and the capabilities to mentor someone or to welcome a new person into this whole big family of entertainment, I want to be a Moses Lim.
Because Moses Lim, that too, the entertainment scene in Singapore has become more adventurous. We also become more emboldened to think out the box. Moses has taught us, anything that you think of doing for the first time, go do it. Be more adventurous. And I think that is the impact that he did for us.
I'm going to tell you a story. Set! Long before your time, in the southern province of China. This reminds me of a story.